I've been so excited to hear how you got on. So you were leaving last week when we spoke to you. You were leaving in a couple of days.
No, the following day. I
The
think I was
following
leaving the
day.
following day. Yeah.
Okay, to go to Luton. The first thing is we need to find out if you got to Luton okay, and then you were getting a weird plane to Ireland to
No,
go to
no,
Chicago.
no. You see, just because it's not usual doesn't mean it's not better. You seem to be trapped in this idea that if you want to fly to Chicago, you have to drive to Heathrow. You don't. That's not the best way to get to Chicago. The best way to get to Chicago is to book an Aer Lingus flight from Dublin, pay in euros. The euro's in the toilet at the moment, thanks to our Greek friends. And then all you have to do, from wherever you live in the UK, your nearest airport to you, it would be Bournemouth.
Yes.
You can get a very cheap Ryanair flight to Dublin from Bournemouth. You can fly to Chicago from Bournemouth. That's how easy this is. All you do is then you pick up the Aer Lingus flight in Dublin and you're off.
Amazing. So how was it for you?
So your commute to the airport, which by the way is the most dangerous part of the entire trip, is the road trip to the airport. Statistically, it is more likely to have an accident there than on the plane.
Yeah, I agree.
And so your commute would be what, 10 minutes to Bournemouth Airport?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
an airport you know well. You'd get to Dublin, you change planes, get on the Aer Lingus, and away you go. Fantastic.
It sounds far too easy.
It is easy when you know what you're doing.
Okay, how was it for you?
The flight, perfect.
No, how was the journey to the airport?
Perfect. Julie dropped me off, 10 minutes.
Oh, that was all good.
Dropped me off, 10 minutes, walked in, Ryanair, the on-time airline. There's nothing flash, but you know that going in. But for 40 quid return,
Yeah.
I get to Dublin, I get to the Aer Lingus flight, and I go to get on the plane, and I show them my boarding card, and they go, okay, hold on a second. Type it in. Yes, you'll be flying first class.
Shut up. First class.
All the way there. All the way there.
How did you manage that?
I have no idea.
You didn't phone them?
No, I did better than that. The other good thing about Aer Lingus, as opposed to when I've crossed the Atlantic with, I think it was British Airways, the last one. Anyway, Aer Lingus has Wi-Fi on the plane.
Really?
Yes.
This is like really...
And in first class, it's free.
No.
And so I tweeted...
Oh, hold on. So the people that can afford first class get the free stuff, whilst the people like me in economy have to pay for their wireless.
In fact, in economy, you have to pay for your drinks. In first class, they're all free.
That's crazy.
In fact, my seat was, you know how it was an Airbus A320 or 330. It was an Airbus anyway. You know how the seats go 2 seats, 4 seats, 2 seats. So 2 seats aisle, 4 seats aisle, 2 seats. On the side where you have the 2 seats, that was my entire seat. I had 3 windows.
Are you kidding?
So I was window and aisle. And when you push the button, the thing goes completely flat.
So you were lying down. This is what, a 12-hour flight?
No, it's from Dublin between 6 and 7.
You jammy bugger. How did you manage that?
No idea. So here's what I did. I tweeted that I was now in first class. I'd gone from row 11 or whatever it was. Now I'm in row 5. So I took some photographs of the wonderful meals, the bed, the whole thing, whatever. And I tweeted them, and I included at Aer Lingus. Mm-hmm. And Aer Lingus started responding. Glad you're enjoying it. You deserve it. They did while I'm on the flight.
Are you kidding?
Yes. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Yeah.
So you're talking to Aer Lingus whilst you're being served champagne in first class.
Yeah.
May I add, probably a very lovely Aer Lingus stewardess.
They were the friendliest stewardesses anyway, because they're lovely Irish people. You know, it's nice. It was wonderful. It's the only way to fly to Chicago. Forget Heathrow. Heathrow is a nightmare. Forget it. Dublin. When you go across the Atlantic, Go via Dublin. At least price it and check out the logistics of flight. You literally start your journey at your nearest airport, not Heathrow.
Yeah.
It
sounds
makes
incredible.
more sense. There was only one issue on the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was ready for a fight.
Really? What happened?
Okay. So I had another wonderful Aer Lingus experience on the way back. Not first class, but 2 seats to myself on the 2-seat side on the other side, and I got the two seats, so I could have 2 tray tables, put my laptop on one, eat off the other. So although I was in economy on the way back, I scored myself 2 seats.
Right, so you still did well.
I still did well, yeah. And I only paid for a return economy ticket, remember. So first class on the way there, 2 economy seats on the way back. I did fine. Aer Lingus did me proud, and I can't say enough about them. They were terrific. Then I had to get the final flight from Dublin back to Luton. Now, I plan my trips meticulously. Mm-hmm. And the big your issue, though, if you do this, is that while your baggage allowance on Aer Lingus is very generous, on Ryanair, you're going to have to pay to check your bags in. That's how they work. Mm-hmm. So I'd arranged it that I'd only be taking cabin baggage, so I wouldn't have to pay to check anything into the hold. The other advantage of that is you don't have to wait for your bag. You're off the plane, you're out.
Yeah.
By the way, here's another advantage of flying Aer Lingus into America. You clear American customs and immigration in Dublin before you get on the plane.
Oh, that's good. Because there are always massive queues in America.
When you get off the plane in Chicago, you are literally seconds away from... You just walk straight out. There's no queue, there's no fight, there's no huge desk and whatever. You've done it all. It's done.
Oh, brilliant.
It's basically a domestic flight from that point onwards. You've cleared American customs and immigration. I tell you, Heathrow's rubbish. You've got to do the Dublin trick. Anyway, so I'm cabin baggage only. Arriving, so when I arrive at Luton, I don't have to wait for a bag. I can just go straight outside and Julie can pick me up. That's the thing. So Ryanair's cabin baggage allowance is quite a small bag. I looked for the bag to show you actually, but Julie's put it away and I don't know where she's put it. Anyway, so the bag's only about say 1.5 foot long, but it's not a giant bag, but it's enough for 3 nights that I spent in Chicago, and
Well, yeah, because you don't have makeup and hair dryers, things like that. You've just got shorts, underwear, a couple of shirts.
That's it. So I can do it. So I've got the exact right size. And I know from the first flight, from the flight Ryanair to Dublin, that my bag fits under my seat. By the way, people are obsessed with the overhead locker. You should only put it in the overhead locker if it won't fit under the seat. But everybody goes straight to the overhead locker. Anyway, mine fits under the seat, so I don't have all that faff. All the people standing in the aisle and, can you help me? Right. So I know it fits under the seat. And it's exactly regulation size for Ryanair.
Because you measured it before you left.
I measured it before I left.
Right.
So Dublin comes, they call the flight, and everybody kind of lines up because they're not loading the flight. They normally in other airlines they load the flight from the back. They say we're doing these row numbers first. They just load it. So there's a huge queue appears, and it's a queue of people with their cabin baggage, which if they checked it in, they would be charged. There's all different shapes and sizes. Most of them way bigger than mine. Mine is the maximum for regulation. So right. I'm thinking, well, these people are having a laugh. I've actually got this right. Whatever. So they start going down the queue and telling people in the queue, I'm sorry, you're going to have to check that in. But you don't have to pay. What we'll do is we'll put a yellow tag on it. And when you get to the bottom of the staircase to the plane, we'll take this away and we'll put it in the hold. And everyone was a bit upset about it, but realized they'd broken the rules. Mm-hmm. And that's that. So she comes up to me. Oh. And she puts this yellow tag on my regulation size bag and says, we're going to have to check that into the hold. Don't worry, it's free. I said, I don't give a rat's arse if it's free. It's not going in the hold. This is the exact right size. You can measure it. You can weigh it. You can put it in your little frame there. You'll find this is the right size. She goes, well, we need to make more room. I said, make more room? It fits under my seat. Unless there's something already under my seat on that plane out there, you're not making any more room. It doesn't go in the overhead. Well, I'm sorry, sir, but this... And she's got this thing on there, right?
Got the yellow, it says free gate bag ticket.
Yes.
So what will they do? Take it off you and then go and put it in the hole?
As you get to the bottom of the steps, which means I wouldn't have my laptop on board. I wouldn't have all my stuff, I've only got the one bag. I'm fuming. Mine's the right size. I don't usually follow the rules, but if I follow them and other people don't follow them, I expect to get some kind of credit for that. She doesn't know how rare me following rules is.
No, exactly.
Yes. So, I need to have a plan, because this bag ain't going in the hold. But I'm one of the yellow sticker lepers. So, I've got to do it. This is not going... So what they've got, I looked out the window at the plane, and they've got the little wagon, the little luggage wagon, and there's a bloke there looking for the sticker, and any with the sticker is going on the wagon, right?
Right.
So, at the top, we're in the gate lounge now, so the next step is you show your boarding card, which is actually on my phone, show my boarding card, then go down a staircase, like an indoor staircase, and then you go out onto the apron, and then you've got Wagon Boy, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this sticker's coming off, right? It's coming off.
Yeah.
They'd also stuck a sticker on the back of my passport, which, branded me as some kind of... Anyway, this sticker's coming off. But the trick is, if someone sees me take the sticker off, all hell's going to break loose, because I'm up for a fight. And I'm not going there. So, still got the sticker on as I go past boarding pass boy. Check the thing. He's like, yeah, right. Now I'm in the staircase. In the staircase, rip! Stickers off! Stickers in my pocket! There were 2 people behind me saw me do it. And I thought, right, I'm through now, unless one of these dobs.
Okay.
So I gave them the stink eye.
Oh no, you should have given them the smile.
I gave them the
how
stink.
Are you?
Oh no, I gave them the stink. I was in no mood. I've just flown from Chicago. I'd had hardly any sleep. I'm jet lagged as hell. Like, there's no way I'm playing this game. So now I walk past Wagon Boy, but with it at one side, so he doesn't even... I'm up the steps. I'm on the plane.
Yes.
It's under my seat in front, and I'm sitting there. I'm texting Julie, telling her the whole tale. I'm saying, as soon as they close the door of this plane, I'm free. As soon as the door closes, usually everything's... All you got to do is wait till the door closes.
Yeah.
The door closes. I'm thinking, right, next step is the seatbelt check when they come down. Just in case they say that bag's actually too big to go under there, it's going to have to go in the overhead. Wait a minute, there's no room in the overhead. There should be. We should have worked this all out, so I'm waiting for this. So the seatbelt check, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Down the runway, wheels up. I win! I win!
Amazing. Well done, you.
Yeah. But
to be fair, you were never going to lose.
You don't think?
No.
That bag was not going in the hold.
You would not have let them
I had
lose.
a cast iron case. They said their motivation was they needed to make more room. Unless somebody else's bag goes under the seat in front, they're not making more room.
No.
It was never going in the overhead anyway. I don't like the overhead. If it'll fit under the seat, I always put it there. It's easier just to get stuff out of there than have to get up and, excuse me, can I just get in there? Yeah.
And then sometimes there isn't room, so you have to go to the other end of the plane to put it in the hold there.
Yes.
But what are they making room for? This is
more bags, more people who've got illegally sized bags to get on. That's my point. There were people with bigger bags behind me. Once she'd got her quota of yellow stickers, once she'd got that, she left the other people alone. And they were all different shapes and sizes, some of them bigger than mine. So I'm sorry, not happening. I win.
So how was that journey for you?
The journey was fine, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was just the one glitch. And that was not Aer Lingus. I cannot praise Aer Lingus highly enough.
Did you not worry every time you saw the lady that put on the yellow sticker, or was she not on the plane?
No, she was one of the ground crew that checked you in.
Oh, that's okay. So she wasn't on the plane with you?
No. If she was, that would have been a whole different issue. But I still not going in the hold. Sorry, the rule says it's got to be this size. It's this size. It ain't going down there.
Yeah, yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
So you'd be making that journey again?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And Chicago's a great city, great vibe. And I went to morning show boot camp, and that was terrific. It was one of the best I've been to.
I listened to your podcast
Of when I met
morning show boot camp.
Oh, excellent.
It was awesome.
It was a great conference.
You can feel the whole vibe. Everybody's really passionate and they're energetic. And one of my favorite bits was with BJ Shea. Is it BJ Shea?
BJ Shea in Seattle. Yeah, he's a good bloke, BJ.
BJ Shea. He is so motivational.
Yeah.
I love the bit where he said, you're talking about creativity. And you said his story was really interesting of how he got into radio and how he became like famous broadcaster.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know that story. Like, I'd be really interested to hear that story.
I'd hate to say it secondhand, but from what I remember of BJ's story, BJ was doing stand-up comedy in the 80s, and he was one of the few comedians that was not on cocaine. And he got tested, and they found out that he was naturally wired as if he was, and the other guys were taking cocaine to keep up with him.
Wow.
Then he got different radio jobs. He got fired a lot. There was an incident once where he suggested on the air, some people, I forget, some group of people at some particular community or other, I forget who they were, and he suggested that they should be shot. And the first time I saw him was on a panel at Morning Show Boot Camp in Las Vegas in 2001, and the panel was called What to Do When You Mess Up. And he was a guy that had messed up. He got fired for that. And then I saw him again in Atlanta a few years later, and that was when he was hanging out with Tom Likas, who became a great motivator for him, and Bob Rivers. Bob Rivers is a Seattle radio legend, retired now, and these two guys took him under their wing and showed him that although he was great on the air, he did not know how to play the game with management. He really didn't. And they showed him how to do it. And since then, I mean, BJ is not only a great talent, but a very hardworking broadcaster. But the man has an enormous heart. What BJ did at one of the boot camps, because I see him like every time I go to a boot camp, I see him, and I don't see him anywhere else. I only see him there, and we hang out and we chat, and it's good fun. And then we don't see each other again. And I haven't been to boot camp for 2 years. I haven't seen him for 2 years. I saw him at a boot camp, I think it was New Orleans one, and he was talking about, how everybody who does breakfast radio should go to boot camp and should network and be inspired by others. And his producer, the radio station, wouldn't pay for his producer to go. I think at the time the radio station would pay for him to go, but they wouldn't pay for his producer. And he had it out with him and said, this guy is part of the show's success. Without him, I'd be nothing, whatever. And BJ paid for the guy to go.
Oh, nice.
Paid for his hotel, paid for his airfare, paid for it. New Orleans is a long way from Seattle, paid for it. And now the guy, Steve Miggs, BJ has decided they've been together long enough. It was only this year, they've now, instead of it being BJ Shea in the morning, it's now BJ and Miggs. BJ has actually got his producer's name in the title of the show as well. And there was another time when BJ, when the management came to BJ and they said, we can't afford for you to pay a producer anymore. You can't have a producer. And once again, BJ said, this is my guy, whatever. So BJ took a cut in his wages so that they could afford it.
Wow.
He took he said, how much is it going to cost? He said, yeah, well, you take that out of my pay. BJ Shea is, and there were some people talking there. There were some Brits there, and Don Anthony was there, and they were talking about doing a European version of Morning Show Boot Camp. The first thing they said was, yeah, and we could get Elvis Duran to come over. Yes, Elvis Duran is a very respected broadcaster, but in Britain he's like one of the few Americans they know. There are some great broadcasters in America. Gene and Julie, BJ Shea, Johnathon Brandmeier. Bring those, expose those people. Let them in. It's always bloody Elvis Duran. There's nothing wrong. He's a great broadcaster, but he's always the guy that speaks at European and British radio conferences. For goodness sake, whoever's organising these things, America's a big place. There's 50 states. There's over 1,000 radio stations. Think about bringing other people in, because you're going to get different ideas from other people. Like you say, you'd never heard BJ Shea talk before. You'd never even heard of him.
No, but he's great.
Yes,
and I really warmed to him. And what I liked about him was his motivational bit that he said, where he said, if anybody ever says to you, don't go for your creative job, ignore it, go for it. If you want to be creative, if you can do what you want to do, what you're passionate about and get paid for it, then that's amazing. And if you fail, that's not the end of the world. At least you've given it a go.
Yeah.
But don't listen to people that say you can't do it.
Yeah, yeah. There were a couple of embarrassing moments at Morning Show Boot Camp.
Oh no, what happened?
There's a legendary broadcaster called Todd Pettengill. He's on WPLJ in New York. In fact, he's on my podcast. I interview. He's the first one I interview, Todd Pettengill. Now, Todd's history is
about the 7 seconds.
No,
listeners?
that was Tracy Johnson. He's a consultant.
Oh, okay.
Todd was then after, I think it goes Tracy Johnson briefly, 7 seconds, then Don Anthony who runs it, and then it's Todd. Now, Todd Pettengill has been in New York for, I think it's 22 years, on WPLJ, which is one of the main, I think it's a hot AC station, one of the main music stations. Todd used to work with Scott Shannon for all those years. Scott Shannon Scott invented the morning zoo format. You know, the morning crew, all of those boy-girl breakfast shows. Scott Shannon pioneered that kind of radio. At Z100, he then left to go and do something in LA, and when he came back to New York, he worked at WPLJ with Todd. The show was Scott and Todd, right? Todd Pettengill. Todd Pettengill, near the top of the ratings for 22 years in New York. Now he doesn't work with Scott. Scott left 2 years ago and is now on an oldie station. So I interviewed him for the podcast, and at the end of it, I said to Todd, thank you, Scott.
No.
He was so nice about it, though. He said it happens all the time. Because he was with Scott Shannon for so long, and it's Scott and Todd, and you think, well, Scott comes first. It's first word. It's not Todd and Scott. So that was the second most embarrassing thing that happened. The most embarrassing thing happened just before because they always book a comedian at lunchtime. And they booked Adam Ferreira, who you'll probably know. I saw him in the Tom Hanks movie. Was it The Road to Perdition? Was that the name of the film? Adam has an appearance in that. He's a guy behind a desk, plays either an agent or a manager or something. Adam is also the host of Top Gear in the USA. Great comedian.
I thought I'd heard of him.
Yeah, Adam Ferreira. Great comedian. Anyway, so there were some English people I'm with, and I said, come on, we've got to get there. We've got to get a table near the front, because the comedians are always great. They always book great comedians at boot camp, and if you're at the back of the room's not quite as good. You run the risk of them picking on you, but hey, we need to be down there. We didn't get picked on. Everything was fine. We sat down, and there's a guy sat next to me, and I said to him, hi, how are you? Graham Mack, where are you from? And he said, Houston. Now, I know some of the big breakfast shows, or at least their names, in some of the big cities, and a lot of these breakfast shows are synonymous with the city they serve. Bob Rivers isn't there anymore, but if you say Seattle, you think Bob Rivers. Yeah. If you say Dallas, you think Kid Kraddick. The Kid Kraddick show is still on the air. If you say San Diego, it's Jeff and Jer. And he said Houston, which I happen to know is Ruler and Ryan. So I said, where are you from? And he said, Houston. And I said, oh, do you compete against Ruler and Ryan? And he went, no, I'm Ryan.
But how are you to know?
I've been on their show. I was on the phone doing a report about a royal baby or something. I can't remember.
Was that his show?
I've been on Ruler and Ryan's show, a couple of times.
What did he say?
That was kind of the end of the conversation, because it's like, ladies and gentlemen, Adam Ferreira. I'm thinking, oh, thank God, a distraction.
Oh, you weren't to know, though. You can't remember what everybody looks like.
Ruler, I could spot in the room easy, because it's the Ruler and Ryan show. She's a very dominant force on that show, and a dominant force at Morning Show Boot Camp. You know Ruler. There are certain people at Boot Camp that you kind of, who they are, and, Jeff Dollar would be another one, and little Tommy from Jeff and Jane Sandy. There are certain people there that you know who they are, like Ross Britton, who was there, who used to work with Scott Shannon at Z100 and has just been fired. I didn't get a chance to interview him for the podcast, but never mind. It was terrific.
There was one that was a little bit. It might have been when you were interviewing Todd. You said, "How is it without Scott?"
Yes,
and
everybody wants to know.
I know, but he did just do the standard. He did just do the standard. Oh yeah, we're doing really well. We're keeping going. And I thought, that doesn't sound like you're doing that great.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't going to judge.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's difficult if you've worked with someone for that long,
Yeah.
and then they go for whatever reason, and then you want to be positive about the show. You don't want to go, oh, it's all shit without them, like I really miss them, because then no one will ever listen.
Well,
But then again,
who am I to
if
say though? Because I don't listen, so
no.
that's not one of the shows I listen to.
But also, if you're their friend, or if Scott and Todd are still friends, which they probably are after 22 years, you then don't want to big it up too much and say, "Oh, it's amazing since he's gone,"
Yeah.
because then you kind of feel like you're being disloyal. So I guess.
Oh, should I not ask that? Did I put him on the spot?
No, I thought it was a great question.
Okay, fine. Okay. The highlight for me though, and they say you should never meet your heroes, but you know me, I go through. I mean, I see. This is getting back to the don't just be influenced by the one thing. Don't just be Elvis Duran. I take influences about broadcasting from all sorts of places. Most of the broadcasters people in the UK have never heard of. Whereas in Britain, they're all trying to clone Simon Mayo or Chris Moyles or Tony Blackburn or whoever it is for them. I listen to the Greaseman and the old Kid Kraddick show and the old Bob Rivers show and BJ Shea and even like podcasts like Pettengill. And I've got this like group of these are my guys. And then every now and again, I have a group of guys who are my guys. And then one of them is at the top in prime position. And they may stay at the top for a couple of years, maybe sometimes 6 months, and then they move down into the pack, and then somebody else moves up to the top. And when at whatever time you've met me in my radio life, I will have, this is the guy. If I go back to when I was at 2PK, when I first got into radio, my guy, and he was off the air, they were old tapes from 1978, was the real Bob James at WGAR. Thank you, it's been real. The real Bob James, he was my guy. Even though he wasn't even on the air, they were old tapes that I'd got via Dan O'Day. But he was my guy. And then I got, for a while, the Greaseman was my guy. I just loved the theatre of the mind. He was my guy. I think when you first met me, it was Kid Kraddick. It was Kid Kraddick. Kid Kraddick.
All those years ago.
Kid Kraddick could do no wrong. Kid Kraddick, he was the guy. Kid Kraddick.
Well, he was amazing.
Well, I was lucky enough to meet Kid at a morning show boot camp in New Orleans, and I was like a little girl meeting One Direction. I was pathetic, but I got to meet Kid. I've met the Greaseman since then.
He's
cool.
sadly not. He's sadly not with us anymore.
But I was lucky enough to meet him when he was around, and still feel his influence today, as many broadcasters do. But Kid was my guy for a long time, and I was lucky to meet Kid while he was my guy, which was cool. But my guy at the moment, and he's been my guy since he came back onto the air in Chicago, is Johnathon Brandmeier. And I mentioned it on the podcast last week that I was just so looking forward to meeting Johnny B, but I was really scared in case he wasn't what he was everything I'd hoped he'd be and more. I just love him. Johnathon Brandmeier is the greatest. He is a total pro. He is showbiz through and through. He's so real. He'll turn on a dime from an emotional thing to laugh out loud, outrageous. Johnathon Brandmeier is he is so much my guy right now. And I got to meet him, and it was just fabulous. Did you hear the bit of the?
I did. I heard the bit.
Do you know my favourite bit is at the end? Is at the very end when I'm interviewing Johnathon Brandmeier, and he says this.
It cost anything, and with no commercials, no interruptions.
Talking about his podcast, how to get the podcast.
Appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Continued success.
You're the man. You're the man. What a pleasure. So back to Tracy.
He said, "I'm the man." Johnathon Brandmeier said, "I'm the man." I mean, I know Johnny's the man. Johnny's the man, but. Johnathon Brandmeier said I was the man.
You are the man.
Trust me, Johnathon Brandmeier is the man. Johnathon Brandmeier is my man.
The one thing that I got from all of the interviews with them is they all really like you.
Well, they see me every time I go to boot camp.
Yeah, I know, but you can tell.
Now. I think I've been to It's around 10 at boot camp. But I've met them at other things. I've been to talk show things as well. But you got the feeling they like me.
Yeah, it was really nice because you can kind of tell when someone with their tone of voice, whether they're, it's just another interview, blah, blah, blah. And every single one went, hey, Graham, how are you? It's so good to see you. And you could tell that it was really genuine.
Well,
obviously, BJ Shea, you've had lunch with him, you know him really well.
Gene
even
and
the
Julie.
ones that...
Gene and Julie are lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, you've known them for a long time. But people like Tracy
Johnson.
That was a really nice, I thought that was a really nice warm chat. It was about how long you've got to turn listeners before they basically switch off, which is 7 seconds.
Yeah.
But I think you didn't get the beginning bit where you said, hi, how are you? But you could still tell with his voice that he's warm to you. It's nice.
Oh,
and then obviously there's Johnathon Brandmeier at the end and he's like, you're the man. It's amazing.
Jonathan Brandmeier is amazing. He was so good. It's like we finished the thing and Johnny's about to go because he did a session. You see, he gave he was interviewed by Mike McVeigh, who was actually his boss. But I know Mike. I've seen Mike plenty of times before, and I always say hi to Mike, and Mike will say the British are coming or whatever. By the way, Mike McVeigh is the vice president of programming for the second biggest radio group in America. I mean, he's a big deal, but he's a really cool guy. But anyway, Johnny's about to go, and he goes, oh, where's my glasses? I put them down. Where's my glasses? And he's panicking. And I'm thinking, my God, he's lost these must be like prescription glasses or something, whatever. Somebody then finds them. Here you go, Johnny. Here they are. And he goes, oh, great. And they're black plastic sunglasses. And he puts them on and he turns to me and says, can you believe these? $6. He was freaking out over a pair of $6 sunglasses. It was a big deal. But I met Lisa, his agent, and she was lovely. And her husband, who's a weatherman on TV in Chicago, and he was there, and he was nice. But everybody was lovely. And it really is a real leveling thing because, boot camp, there were 300 of us there this year, and most of the people on the air. But there were guys, like we met a guy at our table one day, and I said, where are you from? He said, Omaha, Nebraska. And I said, oh, what station are you on? He said, I'm not on a station, I'm at college. I said, wow, you came all the way down here for this? Yeah, I really want to get into radio. I really want to do this. And so, but he was on the same level as BJ Shea, as Gene and Julie, as people who'd been doing this. It's such a leveling thing, because there's the hierarchy thing, because everybody respects everybody else.
Yeah, because like I said before, you're all really passionate. Everybody there is really passionate. It's not about slating each other and who can be better. And the whole issue with the UK is we're just so arrogant. And we're not very nice to people. We don't help each other within the industry. It's all competitive and shutting everyone down. And even the award system that we've got is you've got to be the best, but you never want to educate. Nobody wants to educate anybody else or help anybody else. You don't help anyone in the industry because you've got to be the best. Well, I think you can be the best, but you can also help others in whatever industry you're in. And it seems to me the Americans go, okay, yeah, we're all in the industry. Yeah, we all want to be the best, but we all want to learn and we want to help others learn as well. And that's a whole different mindset to what we've got over here.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually when I go, I'm the only Brit, and I've been a lot. But this year it turned out there were 3 others. One of them actually works in Canada, but hey, we'll take that. But so that there are British people. And Ed James, who does the breakfast show at Heart in Birmingham, was there. And I've met him there before, and he pays his own way. The radio station doesn't pay for him he goes. And it's not cheap, I think it's something like $300 to register. It's $200 a night in the hotel. And then you've got your airfare. You're not going to get much change out of about £700 with the airfare alone. It's not cheap. You have to be. But Ed was there. There was also a consultant there, Paul Chandler, who is a great radio consultant, and he's British, and he went there and he paid his own way, So there are people who care. But yeah, it's a terrific thing. It's a terrific vibe, and you learn almost as much in the bar as you learn at the sessions, because people loosen up and they talk, and But it's just, if you get the chance to go. He does a talk one as well, and that's coming up soon. He does a talk show one, and he does a morning show one.
I'd love to go. I just couldn't afford it at the time.
It's just great, and it's actually good that you said that it came across that they liked talking to me, because I actually used to think, if people could just come here and see how cool this is and how everybody, it would be really nice, because you become part of this little like fraternity, and you get your own, you see each other, these things. You end up, I go on Gene and Julie's show. I've been on BJ show and Rule and Ryan's show and Bob Rivers show. And you've been on Kid Kraddick's show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you do.
That was awesome.
But you get to just hang out. It's just really, really nice.
The point I was going to is maybe BJ Shea and all the other guys, they'd want to come over to the UK. They want to network a little bit more. It builds their audience as well. It's exciting for them.
BJ in particular is a real Anglophile. He loves Doctor Who. He
really?
loves Doctor Who, yeah.
Maybe we could get him to a convention.
I remember when I talked to him at the boot camp in Miami. It was just before the London Olympics. And he said, so you guys worried about the traffic being a problem during the Olympics? I says, yeah, it's probably going to be a nightmare. He said, well, what will you guys do about that? So, well, we're British. Someone will probably write an angry letter. and he said, you know what would happen here? And I said, what? Someone would shoot you. If you were in traffic,
Really?
and you'd get shot. And I said, right. He goes, and these guys aren't marksmen. And I'm like, right. He goes, because if they were, they'd be competing at the Olympics. And that was just a chat in the corridor. That's what kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
Top bloke.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
I did. It was unbelievable. It was just
My
so
week's been
cool.
rubbish compared to yours. Yours has been very exciting.
We also did a good blag too, thanks to Ed. Ed James, who does breakfast show at Heart in Birmingham, he said he was going to Chicago. So he said, well, I have a friend who runs the Soho House, which is I'd never heard of it. Apparently there's some like exclusive club in London called Soho House. There's a couple of venues. One's in Shoreditch, I know that, and there's another one in central London. Soho, and they've got these clubhouses around the world. And it's like celebs and stuff, it's where they go to hang out. You can't get in unless you're a member.
Right.
So this guy had said to Ed, oh, my friend, he's English, he runs the one in Chicago. It's right, and Ed went, oh yeah. And they said, you should look him up when you're there. So Ed called the guy's bluff, because when people say that, you thought, oh well. So we contacted the guy. The guy said, yeah, I'll put your names on the door.
Oh, amazing.
So we went out there, also a first for me, in an Uber. Have you used these Uber things? You hear
I
about?
know. I've heard about them loads.
It's
but
brilliant.
No. Okay. It's
Right.
free taxis, basically, isn't
No,
it?
it's not free, but it's Paul Chandler has got it. It's an app on your phone. And so you go on the Uber app and you put in where you want to go and where you are. And it says, so it comes back, yeah, the guy is 2 minutes away. Your driver's name is Mohammed or whatever it is. And then it shows you a map. And on the GPS, so it's a street map, you can see his car coming.
Wow.
On the map. You see, and he's around the corner there. We're stood outside the hotel. He's around the corner. And you didn't have to book it in advance. It was literally 2 minutes before we wanted to travel. He goes on. And he comes around. It says the last 3 letters of his license plate are this. So we just look for the car. Are you Mohammed? Yeah, we're going to Soho House. Yeah, get in. You get in, drive there. No money changes hands, no tip. And all it is Paul was then debited, I think, £6 from his Uber account because it's connected to his credit card.
Oh, that's good.
So we get to this place, and our names are on the door. Paul Chandler, Graham Mack, Ed James. They go, oh yeah, go upstairs. We can go on the roof. It's like we're on the roof terrace, and there's all skyscrapers around us. It's so exclusive. It's real. And we went inside in the end. It's real shabby chic. You know, like the distressed leather and the bricks and the thing, and it's very Chicago. And
Well done, you.
All the beautiful people are there.
Oh.
So I said, when the waiter came over, I said, hey, do us a favour. I said, gave him my phone. I said, can you get a picture? He said, no, sir, I'm sorry. You're not allowed to take photographs in here. Isn't that cool?
Oh, it's that exclusive.
They don't want celebs in there being pictured with the wrong people. Because deals might be... I say wrong people. I don't mean, inappropriate liaisons. You might be talking to the head of a network or an agent. You don't want to be spotted talking to them. I'm sorry. No photographs. I think that is so cool.
I like that.
So we met the...
So did you see anybody?
Probably. I'm rubbish at recognising them.
Yeah.
I'm really good at recognising people that look like people. Hey, look, it's Benny Hill. But I'm no good at the real ones. I miss them. So anyway, because for all we know, Oprah could have been there.
Yeah.
She's
You would have
Chicago.
known her.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, so we meet the guy, the English guy, and he's terrific.
Oh,
bloke
the
that runs
owner
it.
of the...
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
wow.
So we meet him and we chat to him and whatever, and we had a couple of pizzas and lots of drinks, and Ed had some adventure food or whatever, and Paul Chandler calls for the bill, and the bill comes over, and it's like $160 or something that we'd done, the three of us, in about an hour and a half. Not long. It was first night. We were quite tired. And Paul then says, I'll tell you what, I'll get this. And I went, oh, that's really nice of you, Paul. So he goes to pay, and the waiter says, I'm sorry, he's paying. The owner paying.
No way.
Isn't that cool? And
Oh
he
my
says,
God,
he
that's
says, next time
awesome.
you're in town, come down, come and see us.
Oh, that's really nice.
Soho House in Chicago. It was in a real nice part of Chicago, real bohemian type part. It was all restaurants and.
This isn't like when you met that gangster and you didn't realise he was a gangster.
No, this isn't that. This
No?
guy's legit.
Okay.
No, this
Okay.
is the real deal. This is the real deal.
This isn't the one that's going to shoot you around the back.
Yeah, but even the comedian Adam Ferreira said that Chicago's that kind of town, because like you can be just walking along. And it's like really nice. And I think his bit went along the lines of, this is the Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower. It is. And then you turn the corner and it's like, give me your wallet or I'll cut you. You know, it's like Chicago's like that. You're only like a couple of blocks away from disaster.
Death.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Great city. Yeah. Great time.
Oh, I'm glad you had fun.
I did.
Well, thank you very much, Graham. Glad
you.
you're back all right. You're back at work now?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow's
Okay.
my first one back. Yeah.
Nice to have a couple of days off.
Yeah. And so, you know, first 7 seconds are everything.
Yes. What are you going to talk about? What's going to be your punchline?
It was interesting that, you know, when Tracy Johnson said that you only have 7 seconds to get the listener's attention. And at the very end of the podcast, I said to him, well, usually in that 7 seconds after a song finishes, you go, Bob FM, it's 7:15, and this and this and that. You spend that 7 seconds doing all those before you go, hey, amazing thing happened to me in Chicago, right? And I said, so are all radio stations who do that doing it wrong? And he went, yes. So you're supposed to, the song's supposed to finish, and you're supposed to go, amazing thing happened to me in Chicago. I'm Graham Mack, this is Bob FM, that was the Beach Boys. What happened was, I'm walking down, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Very clever.
Everybody else is doing it wrong.
Yeah. Well, you've been saying that for ages.
I know, but now it's nice to have somebody prove me right.
Yeah.
As Richie will probably tell you, I'm usually right, but you don't know it at the time. But I'm usually right. You just don't know it at the time.
Richie used to work with back in the day.
Yes.
We all used to work together.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe you should set up your own academy. That's a good idea. But then you don't want other people to be like you, do you, really? Because then you want to be different.
Amy, I want everyone to be like me. If everyone was more like me, I would have a lot fewer problems in my life. Instead of people looking at me sideways when I say stuff, they'd go, yeah, I like that.
Okay, so we can see the pictures on Twitter at Graham Mack. Also, you're on your blog. You've been doing loads of blogging lately. So what's the blog address?
I think it's graham.wordpress.com. If you put Graham Mack blog, you'll find it. If you put Graham Mack Morning Show Bootcamp, it goes to a blog.
Because that podcast is definitely worth a listen.
Yeah, that's on the blog too. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. You can follow me at Amy Stevenson1, and we'll speak to you next week.
Talk to you then.